Nice Individuals Podcast.
Hey folks, this is Thaddeus. I'm at the Flagler Voice Podcast Studio. Again, this is a space where we have available all the equipment you might need to host your own podcast show. Today I have a very special guest in the studio, Mike Granam. Mike is actually the one, and he may not know this, but he's the one that made me start doing social media. Did you know that, Mike?
Actually, I didn't. I did not know that. That's pretty cool, though.
Great to have you here in studio. We're going to be talking about you. So for the people that don't know you, who is, and I know that's a really loaded question, who is Michael Granam?
Honestly, I don't know. I'm a big-hearted guy. I guess that's the best way to describe it. You know, I really very passionate about talking to people, helping people. I've always had a passion for just really, my mom, to back up, passed away when I was 14, and she was one of the most positive people I knew. And before she passed away, she had cancer. And before passing away, she would be reading books. And one of the books I saw her reading was The Power of Positive Thinking by Norman Vincent Peale. He was a pastor or minister way back in like early 1900s. And I remember seeing her read this book. She never complained about her situation. She never really even showed any weakness. She did what she had to do to go through what she had to go through, but unfortunately it did take her life. But it was a very profound point in my life, and she was always positive. And so me and my brother have always been positive people. We knew at a young age that God had something great for us, destined for us to help people. My mom always loved to help people. My dad was always the hard worker, kind of quiet, but just a great family man. But we're originally from Ohio. We actually moved down to Flagler County in 2005. I was in the financial industry at that point. Friends of ours had moved down from Maryland, and I had come down and visited with them in 2004. They had moved in 2003. We came down to visit with them. I came down to visit with them in 2004 for a business meeting. And from there, on my way back home, I kept thinking, man, it's November, it's 70 degrees out, and I'm going back to Ohio, and it's cold, and it's dreary, and everything is gray.
Yeah.
So a good, at least 50% of the year in Ohio, everything is gray. That's why it's so big into sports and hot rods and stuff like that, because half the year you're stuck indoors, pretty much. There's just not, I don't know, it's just a really, really, I don't know. I still have my heart in Ohio, but like I want to live in Florida. So when I came down to visit with my friends, and we did this a little business talking, I went back home, talked to my wife. I said, hey, listen, you got to see this place. It's beautiful. It's 70 degrees. It's 10 minutes from the beach. And I said, what would you think about moving to Florida? And so we talked back and forth for about 15 minutes, and we're like, let's just do it. And I told my wife, like, listen, anytime we want to come and see our family, boom, flight, done. A couple hours away, we'll fly up. And so my wife goes up about once, sometimes twice a year. I go up kind of randomly, but at least usually every 3 years to see the family. But so as far as myself, I got also been married almost 30 years.
Oh, wow.
My beautiful wife, I love and adore her. We still text each other every single day throughout the day, just like we're dating. We do date night once a week. Very passionate about that. She, my life, I have God, and then my wife, Paula, right underneath that. My boys know they're three.
That's nice.
So my boys are now 23 and 26. My youngest is in the Navy. In fact, he's getting ready to get out in 2 weeks.
Oh,
so
wow.
We're pretty excited to get him back into this area.
Yeah.
Excited for people to get a chance to meet him. A lot of people that are in our life have met them briefly, but not like in depth. Great personality. He chose to serve our country. for 5 years and made the decision that he wanted to exit the military and go back to school. And pursue college education, other opportunities. So he's going to do that. Interesting enough, he's taught himself Russian.
Oh wow, Russian, huh? He's preparing for the future.
Well, he realized he always loves to challenge himself.
Nice.
And he heard that Russian language was one of the most difficult languages to
Yeah.
learn. And so he spent a lot of time in his spare time, which is not a lot in the Navy, but to keep his mind occupied, he would a lot of apps for languages, a lot of YouTube videos. But I told him, this is something you're passionate about. And so who knows, maybe he'll do something, go to school. He mentioned linguistics in school, maybe translator, maybe, interpreter, whatever it's called, liaison, maybe, just communicate back and forth, not in like spies or anything like that.
He might be a spy in Russia.
I don't know. He does have a high security clearance.
There you go.
In the Navy, he did aviation electronics.
Yeah.
So he's worked on jets, helicopters, things like that. The last he did do a very short deployment on the USS George Washington. From Norfolk, Virginia, all the way around South America, very tip, all the way up to San Diego. Just did that recently. And now he's getting ready to get out. So I just spoke to him last night. He's doing great. He's excited. He knows it's going to be a transition, and I know it's going to be a transition for him. To go from military life, very highly structured, getting up the same time every day, eating the same crappy food every day, working out the same time every day, and now he's going to have a little bit more freedom. So that's good. I'm proud of him. We're very proud of him. I know he wants to kind of get on with his life. He did his thing. He served his country. My oldest son, Bailey, by the way, my youngest son's name's Tucker. My oldest son, Bailey, he actually is 26. He now lives in Salt Lake City, Utah. And he moved out to LA back in 2019 for a job right out of Stetson University, got his degree in computer science. And now he works with a company fresh out of college. He now works with the same company. He's when he first started, he's one of like 16 or 17 first employees with the company, and they really liked what they saw and on his resume and so forth. But he went out to LA. That company, when COVID hit, they closed up the facility, the physical facility, and they sent everybody home to work. And as time went on, they noticed everybody was doing their job, and they decided to close down the office because they would spend a bunch of money per month to keep it open. So decided everybody could work at home, and as long as everybody did their job, they were going to stay on that track. And so he's now moved up into some management positions. So he leads teams of computer engineers. He does what's called migration, which is moves large amounts of information for like spas, barbershops, hair places, so forth. We'll call it the beauty industry or barber industry, whatever you want to call it. But other than that, he's very intelligent. I have no idea how he does what he does, but he knows what he's doing. So that's all that matters. So he gets to make a bunch of money, gets to live at home, live right next to the mountains in Salt Lake City, Utah now. And once he figured out that he could work from home, he's like, so you mean I don't have to stay in LA? They're like, no, you can work from anywhere. He's like, I'm out of here. So he's able to get like basically for half the amount of money, he's able to live in Salt Lake City, which is not as expensive, of course, as LA. So he's doing very well for himself, and we're very proud of what he's been able to accomplish. So I know probably within the next couple of years, he's probably going to buy a house in Salt Lake City. We make it a point to go out there once a year. Gorgeous area, amazing area. I mean, I would move there if there was no snow, but there's snow certain parts of the year. But it's absolutely gorgeous with the mountains and seeing the snow, and we've been out there. So we love hiking. We love outdoors. So every time we go out there, we always make sure we hit at least one trail a day, and I'm talking like 2-3 hours of walking, and it's absolutely gorgeous. One of our passions is to get outdoors and go hiking. And so even here in Flagler County, me and my wife every Sunday walk 3 miles. We choose a different path, a different trail. And if people out there don't know, in Palm Coast, I mean, we have miles and miles and miles of trails and paths and things that you can get out and just walk. So, but that, I guess I like hot rods.
Yeah.
I have a 1963 Chevy C10. Me and my brother restored.
Well, you have to. You say you're from Ohio. That's one of the
Yeah, I
pastimes.
mean, we and my dad was never really into sports. He was
Right.
always into cars. He was always in the garage.
Yeah.
So he worked during the week. He was a trailer mechanic. He's retired now, but he would work on trailers and semi trailers and so forth and semis. But he would always be out in the garage when we were little, tinkering with something that had to do with cars. And so he had car magazines in the garage, car magazines in the house. He always made sure he bought us the Hot Wheels little cars.
Yeah.
And when we weren't in school and it was the weekends, you'd find us out in the dirt building these little towns with cars and hot rods. And me and my brother are both artists, so we would sit down and draw cars all day long. So everything in our life, when we look back, was always around automobiles, cars, mainly hot rods. So that it's kind of like ingrained in our DNA.
Yeah.
And so my brother's got a 1965 Pontiac GTO, mint, beautiful car.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
You go to any car show locally, you're probably going to see it.
Mm-hmm.
I have a yellow 1963 Chevy C10, which is a truck, short bed, step side, slam to the ground.
Mm-hmm.
That's the style I like. So occasionally you'll see that running around town, but it's both our cars. My brother, by the way, helped me a lot building that 63 Chevy C10, but spends a lot of time in the garage. It's kind of like a baby. So it's in the garage, out from the weather and elements and so forth. But so that's probably one of our things, me and my brother, we try to, with life and families and stuff like that, it's hard to get together on a regular basis, but try to hit up a car show for a couple hours every now and then. That's kind of like our thing to get together and do, just me and him. And I remember back when we were like fresh out of high school, my brother had a 1952 Chevy truck, cut off the top, had the windshield. So it was like a roadster, and it was painted flat black, and it was lowered, slammed to the ground. Big old engine in it, and the thing would you hit the gas and it turned sideways. But I had a 1955 Chevy 210, which is basically a car, two-door, okay, not the four-door, but two-door, and we painted it the same color, flat black. And we did the same thing. We lowered it down, had some nice rims on it, but we would chase each other around town, follow each other, not really chase each other. But we'd get so many looks, and it was just a great feeling. Like, I don't know, hot rods to me is one of those things like when you have something that not a lot of people in the world have, it's not like bragging, but it's like, you want to share that with the world and show the world, like, it's almost like art. It's like, it's like driving art is what it is to us. So that's, God is a big thing in my family and my family and my life. I have my good vibes, God vibes tattoo on my arm. So me and my brother we were raised Baptist, but I just consider myself a God lover, Jesus lover. Love, just doing good. I don't know. I just look at like, everybody has the power to do good, do bad.
Yeah.
And I always look at, I'm not saying I'm perfect, but I'm certainly not doing anything intentionally bad.
That's
so
beautiful.
I love, the principles that the Bible teaches about how to treat people, how to act, how to respond, how to have a relationship with God and so forth. So, yeah, that's kind of, I know, a long version probably of who Mike is. So
that's Mike in a nutshell.
Yeah.
So one of the things that you said that's profound is going back to your mom. And this kind of resonates with me too, in the sense that I lost my dad back when I was still a detective. And so he has no idea, unless he can see down from heaven, he has no idea who I am now and how I've transitioned. For you, in your situation, your mom, that positivity, do you imagine that you would be like immensely proud of what you've done in both your transition, your health journey, but creating that space of good vibes, the nutrition bar?
Yeah, because my mom was always, I remember not only her reading and being positive, but she was always there to help people. Back, I don't know if you remember Tupperware, but she did Tupperware. So she would have these parties. She loved getting people together. And I, even from a young age, I remember like she always loved just not necessarily like leading people, but wanted to facilitate environments for people to be happy. She just wanted people to be happy. You know, she worked at Kmart and she would bake cakes every month. Nobody told her.
Yeah.
Nobody said, hey, you need to do this. You're in charge of this. Nothing. She would take her time. She would bake a cake. My dad is an artist also. So they would always make these interesting cakes. Some of them were absolutely hilarious. I remember this day, like some of them were like even kind of graphic, you know what I'm saying? But they would make these cakes together, and like she would take them to work, and they would celebrate whoever's birthday was that month. They would celebrate their birthday. And I remember her doing that. And like I do remember one time, maybe even a couple of times, somebody would be upset at her about something, and then she would come home, and she'd be so upset because somebody was upset with her about something. And so like she really, that tells me that she had such a big heart. You know, she always wanted to facilitate people to be able to being a positive, being together, being positive, and so forth. And so, you know, back, I don't know if you want me to go into my story and my weight and so forth. But so back up to 2017, I had gotten to a point where I was 360 pounds. And I had struggled with my weight my whole life. Like I've always been that big kid. I mean, now when I look back in high school, I was looking good. But even at that time, I was like, I kept thinking, I'm big. As I went through my 20s and my 30s, I kept getting a little bit bigger, a little bit bigger, a little bit bigger. Food's my drug. Everybody's got a drug, right? Everybody's got a drug of choice. I don't care who you are out there. You've got a drug, okay? Or an addiction, let's say addiction.
Sure.
My addiction's food. To this day, my addiction's food. And as I got bigger, I started having some health issues. Even in my early 20s, I had a heart AFib, so my heart would misfire.
Okay.
First time it happened, I actually went to the doctor, and they couldn't find anything wrong. Only thing they can think is that previous weekend, I had drank a lot of coffee and I had drank a lot of alcohol. You know, I was at that age where we would go out and have a good time.
Yeah.
And as I got older, they sent me home. It didn't happen for a while, and it probably maybe every 6 months I'd feel a little flutter in my chest. It didn't hurt, never hurt. It just an odd sensation. You knew something wasn't quite right.
Sure.
But as I got older, into my 30s, it would happen maybe every couple times every 6 months, and then by the time I was in my 40s, it was like every month. Getting to the point it was almost every week. I'd wake up like on a Monday morning usually. Ironically, maybe because I had to go to work. I don't know. But I'd feel this feeling. And I got to a point, mid 40s, late 40s, where I started having like night terrors. So I'd wake up in the middle of the night and I'd hallucinate like big bugs on the wall. That was pretty much the most common thing. I'm talking like bugs.
Like something that Brad wouldn't take care of.
No. Like he would start running, call the Inquirer. I don't know. And I would grab a hold of these bugs and I would hold on to them. I don't know why, for like 20 minutes. And then I would come to my senses and realize I'm grabbing my pillow.
Yeah.
And I also started having like 2 or 3 times like dark shadowy figures. Like I would be sleeping unconscious, conscious, somewhere in there. And I would have these I would be laying down and have this dark shadowy figure come over top of me.
That sounds like sleep paralysis.
Something. I believe there was a spiritual warfare going on.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of people that die in their sleep. I believe I was pretty close. I'm not trying to be dramatic, but one time I did jump up and I had a battle with one of these dark shadowy figures. And it was like 2 o'clock in the morning. My wife wakes up, turns on the light, says, "What are you doing?" I said, "There's something in the room." And she's like, "There's nothing in here."
Yeah.
Like, okay. So a couple months later, I ended up, my wife woke me up. She was screaming, started screaming, screeching. And I turned on the light in the room because when you sleep, it's black in the room, right? So I turned on the light. And the way I turned on the light, like I'm facing the wall and I turned on the light. And then once I turned on the light, I'm literally standing on the bed, standing over top of my wife. And it's no wonder why she was screaming because I'm 360 pounds. My wife's like 100, at that time, like 110 pounds, something like that.
Yeah.
I would have crushed her,
Yeah.
you know? So the next day I told my wife, I said, something's got to change. I got to do something. So she said, well, you need to go see a doctor. And I'm like, doctor, all they're going to do is pump me full of medication, send me on my way.
Yeah.
And I spent a lot of time in hospitals and doctors watching my mom and so forth. So that's not always been the best way for me to, it's nothing against doctors and hospitals, just my past.
Yeah.
I ended up telling my wife, listen, I'm going to meet up with my pastor at the time. We ended up meeting up, Chick-fil-A of all places.
Yeah.
So we ended up, it was Thursday night. We sat down, tell him everything was going on, start studying some scriptures, doing some praying. And I left from that meeting, I felt a little bit better. So in my spirit, I said, okay, this is a spiritual warfare. I now have the tools to take on the spiritual warfare. But I also started feeling like, okay, now that's the spiritual part. I need to do something in the physical part, my physical body. And I think I started going to the gym. I think I got a Planet Fitness membership, something like that. But I ended up about a week later, me and my brother, by the way, I was a mechanic at the time with my brother and his company.
Yeah.
And a friend of ours, Shane Bonner, was opening up the channel side over on Palm Harbor, which happened to be a week later. It was on a Thursday, and they were doing a networking night along with his grand opening.
Okay.
So as to promote his business.
Yeah.
Well, we didn't ever go to networking events, but we decided to go because as our friend, he invited us. It's his grand opening. We're going to support him. So me and my brother, we're mechanics, of course. So we just we're coming after work, so 5 o'clock, the event's going on. We're showing up like 5:30, 5:45. People are all over the place. People are dressed up, business attire, so forth. Me and my brother walk in black shorts, black T-shirts.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're mechanics.
Yeah.
Why do mechanics wear black?
Yeah,
You can't see the stains.
Yeah.
So we're standing there, and of course, this is the stage of our life where we're like, we didn't drink to get drunk, but drink because it's just social, right? So we're standing there with our bottles of Bud Light, standing there.
Yeah.
And I look across the room, and I happen to see a couple that I'm like, I'm friends with them on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know how I was friends with them. I just knew I became friends with them.
Mm-hmm.
And I told my brother, I said, listen, this couple, they're helping people lose weight. I'm going to go find out what they're doing. So I walk over there, walk right up to him.
Wait. He didn't come with you? You just left
No,
you?
he just stayed right there. I think he knows a lot of people too. So
Okay.
I think he ended up seeing somebody that he knew.
Oh, okay.
Walk up to them, introduce myself to them, and it was Zach and Emily Shapiro.
Okay.
And it's kind of like a Ken and Barbie type couple. She's from Venezuela. He's like ripped head to toe. I always joked with him. He was born with abs. And while we're talking, and by the way, they're like in the mid-20s, late 20s, just great couple.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm telling him, I'm like, listen, I need to lose some weight. I need some help. And the only thing I remember, he said, are you ready for your life to change? I said, yeah, I'm ready to change. I'm ready to do something different. It was kind of like a God moment. Like I've been going through this stuff, for months, possibly a year before. And I was like, there's somebody here that's willing to help me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how it works. I don't know how much I got to pay him, anything. So I give him my number, and the next day he calls me. Now, mind you, I'm working. He calls me in the morning. I ignore his call. Like, oh gosh,
what did I get into?
Yeah, what did I get myself into? He's
Yeah.
already calling me. He already wants to sell me, right?
Yeah.
So I ignore it, let it go to voicemail, and then he calls me back in the afternoon. It's like, this guy's obviously going to keep calling until I talk to him. So I answer the phone, talk to him. He wanted, this was on a Friday, he wanted to meet up on Sunday night. I said, listen, I'll meet up with you. Invited me to come over to his condo right before Flagler Beach. I'll come over and meet with you, but that's the only night that me and my wife sit down and watch a show together.
Oh, yeah.
So at the time it was Walking Dead. I don't think it came on till like 9 o'clock or something like that. So I'll meet up with you, but like it's going to be late.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, okay, that's fine. So I think we ended up meeting like, I don't know, 9:30, 10, something like that at night. It was something pretty late. Yeah. So I show up to his place, sit down with him. And oh, by the way, on the way over there, I'm like, what are you doing? Like, you don't know this person. You're going to their house.
Yeah.
You don't know
It
them.
might be a skin lamp.
You know how, I'm thinking, you know how to lose weight.
Yeah,
You've
yeah.
done it before. You've lost 30 pounds here, 50
Yeah.
pounds there.
Yeah.
And then the other guy on the other shoulder said, you know what? You are full of crap.
Yeah.
You don't know what you're doing. You don't have no motivation. You don't have anybody helping you.
Yeah.
And every time you've lost weight, once that scale kind of like plateaus, you give up and you walk away.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I was like, you know what? So by the time this little conversation battle was going on, I was at his house. So I sat down, and everything he said made sense. He said, whatever, how do you say it? If you can control what you put in your mouth, you can control your life.
I love that.
And that was very profound. I never heard anything like that before. And I realized if you really think about most, not all, but like sins or things that are going to damage your body go in through your mouth.
That's true.
Cigarettes, drugs,
yeah,
food, so forth. And so that, along with a couple other things he said, really made a lot of sense to me. I never even, so we talked about nutrition programs, specifically Herbalife Nutrition. A lot of people have had great results. A lot of people like try it and then stop, whatever. I mean, only thing I know is it worked for me. It was the first time in my life that I really enjoyed an actual program. I didn't look at it as a diet. I was just looking at a way to put more protein in my body, more vitamins and minerals into my body. There was no like mystery pill or, we did take vitamins and stuff like that. But I had never tried any of it. And I sat down with him and I placed this like $375 order to get started on my nutrition. I had told him what my goal was to lose 100 pounds. Got my order. It was like Wednesday or Thursday. This was Sunday. I got my order like Wednesday or Thursday. I called him up and said, I got my order on Wednesday. I said, hey, I don't know how to use any of this stuff. So you need to get your butt over here now. It's like, listen, I can't come over till Friday. I'm like, fine. I expect to see you Friday. Very arrogant. Like I'm like what, double, triple his age, or double his age. Sorry. And he came over Friday. Got my blender out, showed me how to make stuff. He showed me how to take my vitamins, showed me how to drink my water, gave me some ideas as far as meals and things like that. So in the beginning, I ended up, I did like a shake, which is just protein, vitamins, and minerals.
Yeah.
Simple. I didn't have to think. I just made it and drank it. Filled me up, tasted delicious. So I had one of those breakfast, lunch, and late night before I went to bed, which was amazing because I love feeling full before I go to bed.
Oh, yeah.
But I would also have a healthy dinner. I had a couple healthy snacks in between. Drank my gallon of water, just like he said. I did everything, and I mean everything he told me to do. I did it. I'm honestly one of the only people I've ever met, not myself, that did exactly what I was instructed to do from my coach.
Yeah.
So I ended up doing that, and I was still kind of going to the gym, sprinkling the gym in there. But so a week later, I ended up meeting up with him, and I did a weigh-in. He said, listen, I'll weigh you in every week. I said, okay, I got a coach. I'm not going to weigh myself like every day. Okay, I'm going to weigh in with you. Go to weigh in, my very first weigh-in, lost like almost 11 pounds.
Oh, wow.
Now, I felt phenomenal, had a phenomenal amount of energy, and I lost 11 pounds. And he said, what else are you doing besides what I told you to do? I said, well, other than what you told me to do, I've been going to the gym. He said, how do you feel about that? I said, well, honestly, it's a little bit depressing because nobody's talking to each other. Everybody's got their hoods down, looking down. And if they are looking up, they're watching my 600-pound life on the TV, which is a little bit depressing. He said, what would you think about coming over to my condo, which is right before Flagler Beach, and meeting me every morning? It's 5:30, 6 o'clock, because he said he wanted to get up every morning, and if he knew if somebody was coming, that he would be forced to get up.
Right.
I said, sounds good. He said, what we're going to do is we're going to walk the Flagler Bridge. So it's the first time I ever walked the Flagler Bridge. And if you ever walked the Flagler Bridge, you realize you drive over it pretty quickly.
Yeah.
But when you walk the Flagler Bridge, it's got a decent
you
got a decent incline.
Oh, yeah, it's it. Yeah.
And actually from basically Publix Plaza across the bridge to tap the light pole, literally we'd tap it, just like tap the butt of the light pole. and walk back. It was 2.3 miles.
Oh, I didn't know it was that far.
Yeah.
Wow.
We ended up doing that, and the thing Zach didn't know about me is I'm very maniacally consistent, especially if if I feel like there's some type of expectation on me, then I turn up the heat on that. And so for 120 days, I'd show up every morning, knock on his door. Now, mind you, we started this, it was October, November of 2017.
Mm-hmm.
We ended up 120 days. So Thanksgiving morning, Christmas Eve morning, New Year's Eve morning, New Year's Day morning, boom, 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 knocking at his door.
Yeah.
Cool sound effects. Show up at his door every morning to walk, and he walked with me. Some mornings he'd be right there ready to go. Some mornings I had to wait a little bit, but he got used to me showing up, and I think that kind of blew his mind a little bit that I was that consistent. But because of that, so my first 90 days, I ended up losing for 60 days, 90, I can't even remember now, but I lost 30 pounds very quickly.
Yeah.
And then 6 months after I lost the 30 pounds, I said, Zach, listen, I think I can lose 100 pounds in 6 months. I'm going to do exactly what you told me to do. I'm not going to do anything extreme. I'm not going to go to the gym. I'm just going to walk, do my water, do my nutrition, do my healthy meals, cutting out all the alcohol, which wasn't a lot. It was once a week, date night, maybe 2 or 3 beers.
Sure.
And boom, 6 months, I ended up losing 100 pounds, changed my life. My neighbor thought I was dying. It was like a month or two later, I was cleaning out my garage, and I asked him if he wanted something. I had something in my garage. He came over and he's like, "Can I ask you a question?" Yeah. He said, "Are you okay?" I said, "Yeah, I feel great." He's like, "I thought you were dying. I thought you had cancer or something, because you just were melting away so quickly."
Yeah.
I'm like, man, I feel the greatest I've ever felt. And ever since then, I've never had that issue that I mentioned earlier about my heart, AFib.
Oh, that's wonderful.
So I lost my weight.
Yeah.
So, of course, I'm not a doctor, but if anybody out there is having issues with their heart, do what your doctor says, but also keep in mind, what are you putting into your body?
Right.
Are you putting enough vitamins and minerals and proteins and things like that? Or are you putting a lot of carbs and junk food and sugary drinks and lots of sugar and so forth that's causing inflammation in your body?
Right.
But so that's kind of my journey as far as weight loss.
Yeah.
So.
That's beautiful. That's wonderful. And there's certain things in there that I've never heard before. I don't recall if you ever told me that you went to the guy's house and then you're trying to talk yourself out of it, what am I doing? But then you open the club. Can you briefly tell us kind of how that transpired? And I know it was during COVID too, which is also another element that maybe some people don't know.
Yeah. When I had lost my weight, I had this sense of confidence, not arrogance, confidence come over me. I realized I'd spent my whole life, instead of taking care of myself,
Mm-hmm.
which a lot of people do, it's right to take care of your family, take care of your job, take care of this, take care of that. But you always put yourself on the back burner. After I lost my weight, what else can I do?
Yeah.
And during that period of time, I want to say I got up to 60 or 70 pounds. A lot of people were sending me messages. Random people. Had no idea who they were. People that I was either friends with on social media, because I was sharing my journey. I was proud of what, again, not out of arrogance, but more over time it became of inspiring other people to do similar things. Absolutely. And people started reaching out to me. People would send me messages through Messenger. I would even put my phone number in, just offering help.
Yeah.
And I initially did not start, my intention wasn't to make money. In fact, to back up, when I was walking with Zach during that period of time, he had mentioned about me doing the same thing I was doing, but teaching other people and generating income. I said, listen, Zach, I have no interest. I got a job. I have no interest in making money. I have no interest in dealing with other people's issues. I've got to take care of myself. But once I had taken care of myself and felt good, felt confident, that's when people reached out to me. I'm like, yeah, I'll help you. Like, how much do you want to lose? Like, why do you, I try to not, I'm not a psychologist or anything, but I'm like, there's always an issue in the past that brings us to where we are today. And I think when I lost my mom, when I look back at it, I was 14.
Yeah.
But when I got into my, late teens, 20s, so forth, when you need, I of course could go to my dad at any time for parental advice and so forth, but there's a certain element that a mom brings to the table.
That's true.
And I was missing. And so it was a void.
Yeah.
And that void, most people in their life, what they do is they take that void and they stuff it with something else.
Mm.
Now, I should have stuffed it with God, and I did go to church and things like that, but food, that's how I stuffed my void. And that's really what addiction is. You're stuffing that void with something else.
Yeah.
It takes you out, breaks you away, makes you feel good temporarily, but then it damages you long term.
Yeah.
But a lot of people were contacting me, and I would talk to them on the phone. I had people out of state that were reaching out to me. Like someone I was friends with on Facebook knew somebody in New Jersey. Somebody I was friends with on Facebook would know somebody in Orlando, whatever, Texas, California, so forth, New York, North Carolina. But I started helping people locally and abroad. And during that period of time, I was still a mechanic. So my way that I ran helping people was I would set up appointments. And if they were locally, I would meet with them once a week. I would meet with them initially, explain to them what I did for my nutrition, what their goals were, what kind of time frames were they looking at, what kind of things do they think held them back in the past from losing weight. But as I would talk with them, I didn't try to make it all technical. It's more like caring. I just cared. So once they get started on the nutrition program, I would stay in touch with them on a daily basis, like through texting and messaging and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Try to inspire them. Try to be the loudest voice in their head every morning, because they're constantly battling society, family, job, things like that, distractions,
negative thoughts,
negative thoughts, getting distracted, having a bad day. But if I'm that loudest voice in their head in the morning and letting them know, hey, if you need anything today, let me know. Meantime, I'm still working. I'm working on a car, or in between jobs or something like that. But over about a year period of time, I ended up with about 70 customers I was working with. And a lot of them were couples. Always liked working with couples because it's kind of like a built-in team. And it was almost kind of like a competition sometimes between the two. And but I would show up once a week with them and then spend 10 minutes with them, and we'd do their numbers. We use special scales and things like that. And it wasn't always based on the number on the scale. It's like we would measure things like water percentage, muscle percentage, fat percentage, internal age, visceral fat, things like that, other numbers to look at.
Yeah.
But we had phenomenal results. Like while I was working my full-time job, and in the evening going out and helping people, and on the weekends helping people, we had like 3 people lose over 100 pounds. We had well over 50 people lose over 50 pounds. And but I got to a point where I loved it. I mean, I would work during the day as a mechanic, and really, I like cars, but I like people more.
Yeah.
And so once you show up, I was a mobile mechanic, so I showed up to people's homes and talk with them, engage with them, and build a friendship with them. And then, okay, what's your problem? And within 5 minutes, okay, this is the problem, that's the problem, blah, blah, blah. Work on, and then now they're going into the house. Now I'm stuck with this car that's not going to talk. It's not, I can't give the car a hug.
You can.
It would look really weird.
You're right.
But so in the evening, I get excited about going and helping people. And fast forward, about a year went by. I was working with lots of people, and I was out of time. I was completely out of time. I had zero. I didn't see my wife, didn't see my boys at that time were in high school. But I loved helping the people. So I couldn't give up that part. But at the same time, I'm like, I got to figure something out here. And so we got to 2019. My oldest son in August moved from Palm Coast to LA for his job. In fact, we drove out together and I flew back. Great trip. Highly recommend doing that with pick out one of your kids and do a cross country trip. Amazing time. Got him all set up, came back. And then the following month, our youngest son went into the Navy.
Hmm.
So he went from, and the difference was our oldest son, we could talk to him every day.
Sure.
But when our son went into the Navy, it was 9 weeks of nothing, like going from talking every day to nothing. And that was depressing. That,
Yeah.
if you as a parent have ever been through that, and we're like most people, we love our boys, no matter what age they are, we love our boys, and we're still parents,
Yeah.
And so during that period of time, me and my wife texting back and forth, and we're like, man, this sucks. Like, this is depressing. Like, just every day we're texting each other back and forth.
Yeah.
And we're like, I gotta snap out of this. We gotta snap out. We gotta do something. And she's like, you remember that idea? I told her this idea like a year before this.
Mhm.
Really, God gave me the idea about opening up the nutrition club.
Yeah.
Zach, the guy that got me started on my nutrition club, or excuse me, got on my health journey, he had ended up opening up a nutrition club, and so I had helped him support him opening up that, and so I'd help out here and there, and I had this transition phase of moving my customers that I was helping every evening to come and seeing me at his nutrition club, so I could do their numbers.
Nice.
So as I'm helping Zach at his nutrition club, I kept saying, is this something that I would want for myself? Would I like to open something like that? And the answer kept coming back, yes. And this is what I would do.
Yeah.
And this is what it would look like.
Yeah.
And this is how big it would be. And this is what I would put on the wall. And so when I mentioned to my wife, or my wife had mentioned, listen, you remember that idea that you had? I said, yeah. She said, just do it. I'm like, but I make more money than you. And in the meantime, I was making money by helping people, but it was never my focus.
Yeah, sure.
But, when you do things that you enjoy, you're helping people, God just naturally rewards you. And so I got to a point where I was making just about the amount that my wife was making at her job.
Mhm.
And I wanted her to leave her job. I'm like, listen, I'm going to be the provider in the family. I'm going to make my money from being a mechanic, and I'm going to make my money from helping people, and you don't have to work anymore.
Yeah.
We've always lived way below our means. She wouldn't do it. She wouldn't fall for it. So all the money that we were making, we were saving it. And so once the boys left, she said, open the nutrition club. Like, I make more money. She's like, I don't care if, we open the business, if we struggle for a little bit, if we got to live in our car and we got to eat ramen noodle, we'll do whatever we got to do to make it happen.
I love that.
And I always realized, looking back over my life of working with other people, I loved helping people.
Yeah.
I loved talking to people. I loved, I had fell in love with nutrition and helping and working out and things like that, and building communities and being part of something great and having an impact mentally, physically, spiritually on other people. I said, okay, let's do this. So at the end of 2019, we sat down. We always write out our goals. Everybody should sit down and write out your goals. The best time to write your major goals is the week between Christmas and New Year's.
Okay.
Okay, because most people, like, you're mentally kind of shut down for the year. Like, okay, this year's over. Let's get on with the next year.
Yeah.
And so it's a great time to reflect. Sit, maybe listen to some calming music or no music at all by yourself, and write down, what do I want in my life? What do I want to have? What do I want it to look like? And so we write down our goals every year. And one of the things that I wrote down was to open up this nutrition club by July of 2020. So God has a great sense of humor. I don't know if a lot of people know this.
Yes,
whatever you have planned, he just sits there and laughs, right?
Right.
So the very first Sunday of 2020, which is only like a week later, right?
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember the date, but it was the first Sunday of 2020. I needed to run to Ace Hardware to fix my toilet.
Mm-hmm.
Go in there, come out, and on the way back to my car, I happened to look over and I saw a rent sign in this location in St. Joe Plaza, right next to Ace Hardware.
Yeah.
So I walk up, I look in the window, and I could tell, I didn't even know what was there before, but I could tell it looked like something like a hair salon, because the one side of the wall had 4 hair stations, like mirrors with, it's almost like a desk, but it's got a mirror and it's got places to put all your tools for that industry, and I want to say there was even the chairs were there too, and the pads, the cushion pads on the floor. So it was 4 on one side, 4 on the other, and then it had 4 hair washing sinks towards the back right.
Yeah.
Well, when I looked in, everything said to me, "This is the location," and really, what it said, "This is the location," is where the hair washing station was. Everybody said that's where your sink's going to go. My entire business was built around where the sink was going to go because plumbing is an issue. Like
really?
when you're opening up a new business, especially a business that needs water, where you put the sink, it determines, like, are you going to save $1,000 or are you going to spend $10,000?
Wow. I didn't even know that. I didn't even know that was a
factor. Because you got to have drainage.
Yeah.
You have to have water supply, hot water, cold water. How far is it going to run? How many professionals do you got to get? Do they have to dig the floor? Do they have to run drainage pipes, things like that? Everything was there with those 4 hair washing station, the hair wash station. So I sent a message to the neighbor, a Coldwell banker, Jim Volpe, does the property management for that location. Said, listen, I'd like to take a look at the location. So we set up a time, go in, walking around, and it's pretty rough. I mean, the business that was there before, I think somebody said was there like 28 years.
Okay.
They had 2 layers of linoleum tiles, the square ones, not like full sheets, okay, on the floor. Some of it was glued down. Some of it either the glue gave up or, but they said they wanted a certain amount of money. And I'm like, I'm not going to pay that. Like, the plaza is like 6 spaces, 7 spaces open. I offered $200 less than what they were asking. He's like, I don't think they're going to take that, but I'll go find out. So 24 hours later, he called me back and said, listen, they'll take that. I said, okay, I just want to make clear, this is the amount I'm going to give. It's going to include everything. He said, yeah. So, okay, great. So we ended up, that was the very beginning of January of 2020, mid-January, maybe towards the end of January. Yeah. We went in there and we just started, like, the electricity wasn't on. And we started digging up the floor.
That's hard work.
Yeah. I had Teresa McFall. Shout out to her. She helped us get the club open. She helped when I was first having doubts. This is before we found the location, about doubts about opening a business, because I'd never been in a business like that for myself, like with a brick and mortar business. I had done other businesses in the past, like home-based businesses, things.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to let my wife down, to be honest with you. That's I do not want to be in a position where I let my family down. And I told her that. And we did meet up at Starbucks Coffee, and we sat down. And I told her my ideas about opening up the nutrition club. And she's like, listen, we can do this. And so she was the first one that kind of gave me that little push to open up Good Vibes. And so she was one of the ones from the beginning that helped build out, getting dirty and scraping up flooring and tearing down black glass blocks it had a nice 1980s feel in there.
Oh, yeah.
And then also Chris Murphy, by the way, that did go on to lose 300 pounds, lost 100 pounds with working with us, and then lost another 200 pounds working with a bodybuilding coach up in Jacksonville.
Wow. And
Teresa lost a bunch of weight also. I can't remember how much, probably 40, 50 pounds. But anyway, these 2 people stepped up and they helped us. I couldn't do it by myself. My wife was working. I was still working. And we were doing things during the day, cleaning up, even sweeping, painting, whatever. And then I would show up every evening and be there till 9, 10 o'clock at night. But fast forward, we ended up opening up. We built out in February. We ended up opening up March 9th of 2020. Had amazing opening. We did like well over $1,000 that day. Wow. Made like 104 shakes, not counting like power teas and all kinds of stuff. So the community just showed up, and a lot of my customers that was helping showed up. And it was a great day. It was a really great day. I was so excited. I'm like, we hit the mother load here. Like we're gonna do this. We're gonna make it happen. And then very quickly, Tuesday showed up. Monday, March 9th, we had our grand opening. Tuesday, people started coming in saying, did you hear about this virus? Did you hear about they're shutting down the airlines? talks of shutting down the airlines and China. And I'm like, no, I didn't hear anything about it. I've been working here.
Yeah.
So by the time I got home that night, we would close up at 8:00 in the evening. By the time I got home that Tuesday, my wife said, "Did you hear about the virus?" I'm like, yeah, like customers coming in talking about it. I'm like, what's going on? So she told me. I'm like, she said, "Are you nervous?" I said, I probably should be nervous, because we just invested,
new business.
almost $20,000 into opening up this business.
Right.
But I also had a peace. And I told her I have a peace because like God gave me this vision of opening this. And I tried to walk away and ignore that vision. And for the first time in my life, I was obedient to that vision of what he was giving me.
Yeah.
Didn't tell me words, didn't give me footage or square footage or cubits or anything like that.
Yeah.
But what he did do is give me vision as far as what it's supposed to look like, where the bar's going to go, the word love on the wall, the One Life ticket on the wall, the logo on the wall, the military wall that we have where we support our military. All that was in the vision. Good Vibes Betty was not in the vision.
Yeah.
Pugsley, our 11-foot pug on the wall, was not in the vision, but those came later.
Yeah.
But we got open, and so by that Tuesday, I told my wife, like, if God's going to give me the vision, he's going to give me provision. And that's all. I left it at that. And I showed up the next morning, 5:30 a.m. We opened at 6. I showed up 5:30, and we had this nice conversation, me and God. Mainly me. He listened.
Yeah.
Okay. And I said, listen, this was a vision you gave to me. And if it succeeds, I'm going to give you all the credit in the world. If it fails, I'm going to give you all the credit in the world. So I'm not trying to challenge you. I'm not trying to test you, but I'm here to serve, and I'm here to help, and I'm here to coach, and I'm here to inspire, and I'm here to help whatever people need help with. I don't care if it's losing weight, gaining weight, more energy, better digestion. They want to be inspired. They want somebody to help them mentally. I'm not everything to everybody, but I'll listen. Yeah. And what I found is most people just want somebody to listen. Yeah. Because the dog's not listening, the cat's not listening, the kids aren't listening, the husband, the wife's not listening, the job's not listening. Nobody listens to them.
Right.
And so we're sitting there listening. So fast forward, my wife, mind you, kept her job. And about 6 months after we opened, she was able to leave her job and leave the food service management industry forever. And we now have fun every day. We, get a chance to meet new people every day, get to see our friends every day. I tell people all the time, you don't have to buy anything to come in. If you just want to stop in and say hi real quick. If you want to stop in, we have areas where people can sit and relax and do business meetings and one-on-ones and engage with people. Yeah. So that's kind of the story of Good Vibes. It went from this vision of just this healthy bar to growing into a center hub for Flagler County, for people to come, socialize, interact with each other. Think about the average bar. The average bar people go to listen to music, engage with each other, possibly meet somebody. But the difference is at my place is you're putting good stuff in your body. Yeah. But we still have the music and cool surroundings, things to look at. But the engagement of people, we in society have gotten away from building friendships, new friendships with people, innocent friendships with people, trying to figure out what do you have that I could benefit from? What skill set do you have that I could benefit from? And what skill set do I have that you can benefit from? Yeah. That's why we were created. That's why God created us.
Absolutely.
Because every single person, the talents that you have, that is, the way I look at it is you have 3 talents. Now you're good at a lot of stuff. Yeah. But you're really good at 3 things. And when you combine those 3 things together, guess what? There's not a single person on the planet that has those 3 things. And so those 3 things, when you stop and think about what am I good at, and you take those and you put those into a business or something that you're pursuing, that's your passion, that's when you get to a point where you can generate income and you really don't feel like you're working. I work harder than I've ever worked before on my own business. I deal with things I've never dealt with before. Every day, something new comes up. Okay. New license here, got to renew this payment with the state here, like prices are going up over here on different goods and stuff like that, or things like that. But I'm using my talents. Like I feel like I'm good at communicating with people and talking to people and listening to people and where they're at. Doesn't mean I have the answers, just listening to people. I'm good at art. That's why I put my art on the walls. And we got more art coming. But so things like that, I'm good at getting people together. I'm a connector. And I love the hum. My happiest time at my business is when it's packed full of people. These two people are talking to each other. These two people are talking to each other. These two people are talking to each other. These three people are engaging with each other, and they're exchanging numbers, and they're making things happen. And this person's going to go to this person's event, and this person could go to this person's church, and this person is, I love it. I love it because, we've had people meet each other. We got a couple that's engaged from, I'll take credit from Good Vibes facilitating a relationship like that.
Absolutely.
I love the idea of we've played with ideas with like doing singles night. We did one single night and it wasn't a huge turnout, but people had fun. Nothing came out of it, but like doing stuff like that. We do workouts, free workouts where we get the community together. We're like blowing out the walls with this thing right now. We have coaches that work with us, which are distributors that are coaches that help people, but they also voluntarily instruct people on fitness and how to work out and things like that. Like last night, we had a Tuesday Fit Fusion. We're pushing like 10, 15 people showing up to that.
Oh, wow.
Tonight we have drum cardio. Last week, I think we had like 15, 16 people show up to that. I had ran out of the balls and buckets. I had people beating on tables with drum sticks. Like we have seated areas, like these little padded spools. People were beating on those. And I went out and bought some more buckets and balls. Now we're up to like 18, 19 of those. And I don't know where we're going to put everybody, but we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out.
It's a great problem to have.
And then Saturdays, 7 a.m., we do a fit camp. And what's great about that, it's outside. And it's in the early morning. So, it's not hot, but you're going to sweat your butt off because it's still a little humid. But we love getting people together. And usually we have like 20, 25 people show up for that. But we enjoy getting people together to focus on whether it's their health, mentally. We all know when you work out, you feel better. Mentally, you feel better. Physically, you feel better. But getting together people without the confinement of like money and cost and things like that. And I don't put like you got to do this to do this, and you got to do that to do that. I just want, I don't know. And I don't know ultimately like how to, or how many people we can get together at one time. Maybe we break some records. I don't know. Maybe we have 100 people show up to a Saturday fit camp outdoor. I know I can't put 100 people playing drums inside my business.
But outside you got the space.
We also started a program a couple months ago. Me and J.R. Meyer, by the way, J.R. Meyer Consulting, a little shout out, got together, and I told him about this vision of getting men together. Women are really good at getting together and doing stuff,
very
right?
True.
Very just doing innocent stuff, whether it's going out to eat or they're just really good at it.
They go to the restroom.
They're just really good at it. Guys, not so much. Like if you see a bunch of guys getting together, there's usually alcohol involved. It doesn't matter if it's a game or a bar or stuff like that. And so I wanted to figure out how can we get men together that's God focused, that's good focused, that benefits men locally, build strong, godly men. And so we talked. I told him this vision. He said he had a similar vision of doing something. So we got together. We came up with a name, Kingdom Men United, excuse me. And we're now getting ready to do our third one. It's August 12th, 6:30 p.m. It's on Monday. And we're gonna do Taco Monday instead of Taco Tuesday. It's gonna be Taco Monday. So we just asked the guys to bring in $5, chuck in the jar. You're gonna have a lot more than $5 worth of food, like a donation jar, and we'll make some different taco bar or something, But we have a great time, get together, talk about issues that men may have. We're, I guess, program society. There's nothing weak about men getting together and talking about, hey, listen, I'm struggling with this, I'm struggling with that. Can you pray for me? Yeah. There's nothing wrong with that.
No.
If somebody thinks there's something wrong with that, then I don't know what to say. Maybe you need to try it, maybe talk about it, because we'll harness a lot of stuff. I've done it in the past where I'll keep stuff inside and then I blow up on somebody.
Sure.
I'll blow up on my wife, blow up on somebody. I don't know,
right.
The dog. But we also do once a month. We took the summer off, but we do a plant-based potluck. Mm-hmm. So just shout out to, I'm not a vegan, but I respect all lifestyles, mm-hmm. vegan lifestyles, carnivore lifestyles, whatever lifestyle that you have.
Yeah.
As far as if you're focusing in on something,
mm-hmm.
good for you, because most people aren't. If you're,
true.
I'd love to say there's a fast food lifestyle out there that's healthy. It's not.
No. Absolutely.
So whether it's any lifestyle, keto lifestyle, so we're trying to figure out ways to, if it's good and it helps people and it's beneficial, we're trying to figure out a way to get people centered around that. So we do that once a month. We also have a literary lounge that's with Yonette Turner, Yonette's Beauty Den. Shout out to her, along with Raquel Herring. She was actually one of the original Mouseketeers, which is pretty cool. She wrote a book about it. But they get together once a month at our business, and they bring in 3 local authors to share their books. And so people can come in, they listen to the authors, and they also can purchase their books. But Good Vibes is now the center of Palm Coast. It sounds maybe egotistical, but
no,
I want to have it the center of where if you need to know somebody, need to meet somebody, need mm-hmm. to a service, want a reference to a service, anything like that. If you have an idea that's good, it helps people, it's beneficial for the masses. I don't get into political events. If somebody comes to me and says, hey, can I do a meet and greet?
Mm-hmm.
I'll do that. It doesn't matter what party it is or anything like that. If they just want to meet people, that's fine. I'm not going to post their stuff. I'm not siding with anybody. I have my own beliefs.
Sure.
But businesses, we got to sometimes be Switzerland,
Yeah.
But I do allow, candidates to come in and just sit down and meet people and share things and stuff like that. Shout out to Thaddeus here. He's done a lot of interviews at my business, so that's given us exposure. Probably maybe be less now that you got this beautiful studio here, but shout out to Alan Lowe for putting this together.
Absolutely.
And his vision. I remember when he had the vision and was sharing it with me when it was coming into the business.
And now it's here.
And now it's physically here. So definitely recommend local businesses to, check into it. It's a great way to promote their business and what they do. But we just love being part of the Flagler County community. I don't know, I want to put good vibes out into the world. The world today, let's face it, it's chaotic. There's lots going on in the world. Luckily, we live in a great area, a great state. Doesn't seem like as much here.
Mm-hmm.
Let's hopefully it stays that way. But a lot of things in the world that we need to be thankful for what we have here, and we need a lot of prayer for what's going on around the world, and even in the United States and across the United States and different areas of the United States. I fully believe that we're under attack.
Absolutely.
We're under spiritual attack. Some places are under physical attack,
mm-hmm.
and but we have to. A lot of it, sometimes we feel like we don't have control, and we do have control, and it's through prayer that we have control.
Yeah.
I've gotten to a point in my life where I realized that I have control over really nothing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have control over my wife. I don't have control over my kids. I don't have control over my business. I don't have control over customers that come into my business.
Yeah.
The only thing that I can control is my attitude, my gratitude, and my action, and what
Yeah.
I do and how I respond to things.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that comes with maturity, but it also comes with my walk with God to realize like He is in control.
Absolutely.
And so,
Mike, the whole story has been absolutely beautiful. And if no one has told you this before, I'm sure you've heard it. I'm sure your mom is over the hills proud of what you've done and you've accomplished. I want you to go ahead and give your mission statement. That's something you've shared a couple of times. It's beautiful. And then I want you to give your location information so people who haven't been there know how to come in and get in contact with you.
yeah. So our location is 209 St. Joe Plaza, right next to Ace Hardware. I always give everybody my phone number. It's 386-503-4275. If you need to text me, you need to call me, whatever. If you need something, let me know. I mean, certainly, you know, if you need prayer, anything like that, money. I'm not saying, I'm not saying I have money. What I'm saying is like, but what I'm saying is like, and also look me up on Facebook. It's Michael Granam, Granam.
Mhm.
And then Facebook, it's Good Vibes Nutrition of Palm Coast. Make sure
Mhm.
you follow us there. On Instagram, it's Good Vibes Nutrition PC.
Mhm.
So you can look us up there. But make sure you're friends with us because we always have things that are going on that are, I think, really beneficial for people to get together.
Mhm.
As far as our mission statement, I'm going to read it because I don't want to miss any of my
Absolutely.
words. I'm in the process of memorizing, but so our mission statement, Good Vibes Nutrition exists to provide an environment of self-improvement through health, happiness, and community. And our vision statement, Good Vibes Nutrition will be the Flagler Center hub for healthy living, personal happiness, and long-lasting relationships through the examples of kindness, encouragement, introductions, and pure love. And so I like to think of Good Vibes Nutrition as, again, the center, also like a lighthouse,
Mm.
where, we're putting out the good vibes and, think of a lighthouse, like the light's always shining. And I have people I know, I feel it. I feel it when they come in. They're not having a good day. And I'm, I'm not going to pull it out of them as far as like, how, what's wrong, what's wrong, what's wrong.
Yeah, sure.
But I am gonna just how their day's going. What are you doing this weekend? What are you doing? What did you do last weekend?
Yeah.
And on the way out, I'm gonna make sure they know they feel appreciated, that I listen to them, and usually I can tell there's a difference when they head out. And then when they take a drink of our nutrition, like our shakes, our healthy shakes, our energy teas, our protein coffees, something like that, I know they're going to keep that feeling for a couple hours down the road.
Yeah,
So
that's beautiful. Mike, I just really appreciate you coming in, taking time out of your day to come speak with us. I've been to Good Vibes, I don't know how many times, and it's just such a welcoming environment. You're always super gracious. I've never gone in there and felt like, oh shoot, I shouldn't be here. It's just what you have created in that environment and that energy. It's almost palpable. You can feel it. So, folks, remember, this is the Flagler Voice Podcast Studio. This space is for rent. We have all the equipment in here that you need. You can host your own podcast here. You can come in, you can do your business intro, anything like that. Get your ideas out there. Say you're a candidate that's running for office. Cool. Come in here. We have options where people can call in so you can talk to your constituents potentially. Anything like that. The possibilities are absolutely endless. So, again, this is the Flagler Voice Podcast Studio. We'll see you next time. Thank you again, Mike.